Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we have another episode of Evolve that we are reviewing today. It's the one before Secession, so I figured it would be kind of loaded with some story because we only had the two title matches, so we knew we probably were going to get a third one, which we ended up at the end of the show. So, or not end of the show, but towards the end of the show. So we'll go over that, and yeah, we'll just kind of jump right into it because there's a lot to talk about. So the show started off with Kendall Gray coming down to have a face to face with Callie Armstrong. Honestly, Kendall Gray is just like really cooking on this mic. Like I really feel like she's coming into her own here. Like I've seen I think I either just kind of like in the algorithm of TikTok, I get a lot of her TikToks with her and Ren Sinclair. So like I feel like she kind of has that same vibe that she brings out there where she just kind of seems genuine, but like enough that you're kind of behind her. I mean, obviously she's, still fighting a little bit of, maybe stage fright or just, a little bit of timidness. I mean, that's what a developmental is all about. But she's getting better and better every week. And Callie Armstrong, I think, is really nailing it. I think she's got the kind of like domination type, almost like heel, but like really is she a heel? Like she's doing everything, just doing good stuff. So honestly, I think this was an excellent promo for both of them. I'm gonna put it in a solid A. I really like what they're doing. Like I said, it's if you put this on like a SmackDown, you'd be like, okay, well that's a little weak. But on this type of show, it was superior to a lot of the segments that they do because they do a lot of the segments to kind of have them like laid back or like if it's them chilling, especially like the Vanity Project and stuff. And with doing that, it helps, just the day-to-day thing with it. So with these, when you're actually out in the ring cutting the promo face to face with your like, person you're rivaling, it takes up a lot. So I'm impressed and I'm really excited to see this. I really do feel maybe I'll do a prediction video, which I maybe not because it's only like 3 matches, but I really kind of want Kendall Gray to win here. I feel like this is the time to make the move. I honestly would be down for both champions to flip. But then we get to the next segment. It is Tate Wilder who basically just says, "Hey, I only got one win, but I want to be on that thing." I mean, anybody that has seen any of my reviews understands that I'm not a big fan of Tate Wilder. I think this guy is a fairly decent person, and I think he's a solid wrestler. But this whole gimmick and his whole like whatever story that they are trying to cook with him is just burnt. Like it is needs to be just scraped off the bottom of a pan and like thrown into a like put some soap water in it, put it down in the sink and let that soak and figure something else out because it just is not working. And then he gets attacked by Brooks Jensen, who's also kind of struggling to set up. Later on we'll talk a little bit more about it, but their match at Secession, it is not deserved. That this is the crazy part. This is like their first ever PLE major event. These two should not be in there. There is no way. I rather have had Idris and Sean Legacy take over if they were going to do that because they tease that later. This really did not need to be the third match. I'm putting this down in D. Just not a fan, and it's not even like I would be opposed to it even if it was like these guys because I obviously am not a big fan of either one of them. But if this match would have been at the Evolution or the Evolve after Secession, I honestly would think that there's going to be a possibility that match actually might be decent. But being on the Secession thing, I really don't think it deserves the third match on this card. I mean, it's not to that level of the two title matches, and I don't think it's gonna definitely probably struggle to fit in there. Then we get to Itzgall versus Dante Chen. It's a little bit of like they had some good in ring work of like not even just the wrestling, but like going back and forth with their muscles and all that. I like Dante Chen. I liked him when he was on NXT, so I have a little bit of a more soft spot here that I wanted to be semi successful here. I think he is a decent commodity. I think he's pretty decent on the mic. He's definitely one of those people that only could play babyface. I really don't think he could pull off a heel. But I mean, that's even crazier. They turn him heel, and if it works, then he would even be better. But he's going against Inskull, who's again as towards the bottom of my least favorite wrestlers on it. But I at least know that Inskull is pretty decent in the ring. In this match, I thought it was fairly decent. I'm going to put it in B. I think it was a great way to start off the show of matches. It wasn't anything that I'd write home about on it, but I think the entertainment value and the flow and everything about it, it felt like a very full match, and I think it deserves that spot. Next up, we had High Rise versus Marcus Mathers. I knew I was gonna mess it up at some point, and Aaron Rourke. This is what it should have been. We should have had some tag teams working together to get to a title, and that should have been the thing on Secession was the tag team titles debuting. I can't say this enough, but they have too many good tag teams to just let this. These might be the bottom two tag teams if you want to say anything, and they still absolutely went out there and cooked a solid B performance. It was, nothing wild on the wrestling side of things, but they went out there. I think everybody kind of shined and got some good moves out there, especially Marshall Mathers. God, I'm gonna get stuck on that now that because that's Eminem's name. Marcus Mathers and Aaron Rourke. I think that those definitely they got like a good showing, even though they ended up taking the L. And this just keeps proving that we need the tag titles and this place because it's just too many tag teams and it's just too easy. You get an extra two men into a match a lot of the times, and when you have only a three match card and you can add people or add people just in general to anything, this is what it needs to, because you can also do like three teams, four teams. Like they could do some really crazy stuff with what they have on the roster. Then we had Wendy Chu versus Nikita Lyons. It's Wendy Chu like not as like almost like a face to a certain extent. I like it. She's definitely had changes up her move set a little bit. Nikita Lyons actually looked pretty solid too. I've always kind of been 50-50. I think like she has the character work and she works on, at least her promos I think are solid. I don't think they really work in general for just being like a wrestling promo, but I think she goes out there and does what they probably have given her. And uh her in-ring work has always been the thing that she struggled with, but honestly this was probably the best match of the night. I think I'd still put it in B. I think it still had some issues with some stuff landing, but it had a nasty power, like that flip power bomb that Nikita Lyons did, and then obviously the reverse like Bronco Buster in the corner. I thought both of those were some great moves on her part, and like I said, Wendy Chu just seemed like a different wrestler by changing, possibly that she's a face now, by her just going out there and having like a different move set to a certain extent, but like still looking familiar. I thought it was pretty good, so I put this as like a really high B. I just, like I said, I think there was just a few moments that didn't really work and that they were kind of struggling. I think it's just gonna you get that pressure of it being the main event, and I think that's what it ended up being. But if they ran it back, I would not be upset with this. Then we had Brooks Jensen talking about Tate Wilder wants a match. I'll give him a match. We'll do a strap match, a bull strap match. Uh, I'm not a big fan of those matches because when I'm assuming it's the one where they're both tied to each other, and I might be wrong about this because there's like strap matches and all this stuff. But if that's the one that where they're tied together, it really just kind of limits the wrestler on what to do. Obviously, you get the brutality of the strap match, which is pretty good, but this is also a barely a rivalry. Like, Tate Wilder's been, rivaling with Ridge Holland, which I think they just completely dropped because Ridge Holland is now working in TNA and up there wherever else they need him in like NXT. So like I think they just kind of dropped it and then put Brooks Jensen in it because he's just been angry. And to me, I just feel like this is not the right call on the type of match. That feels like something that you use in like a bigger nastier rivalry. So one backstage kind of brawl I don't think really deserves that. So I would put it down in D. I'm just this whole extra thing is just not it. Then we get to Jackson Drake trying to figure out who his next opponent's going to be for Secession because Bryce Donovan had taken Kiana Carver out. So I thought that was a pretty interesting twist that they're going with that. And that Sean Legacy ended up coming down saying that he's ready for him, and then Idris Inoue takes out Sean Legacy. Cool, that would be a rivalry that we'd probably get a match for, but I'm pretty sure Idris's contract will run up by the time they do this because if they're 4 weeks behind and Secession either has already been filmed or is about to be filmed, then that means that they probably are already either caught up or still 3 weeks behind, which would put them around about a week out of leaving the WWE. So I guess it's something that they were going to try to do, but I think it's going to be a pivot. I think we'll see that completely just gone by the next time. We possibly could get one more match, but I really don't think so, and I really don't hope so because it wouldn't be much of a point. But then Bryce Donovan says that he hates the Vanity Project and hates being here and all that type of stuff, and that he's ready to take the title from him. I like this. We knew we were gonna get this. This is 31 episodes in the making, um, and it's gonna come to a head. And I think this would be the perfect time if they decide to change the title for Jackson Drake. It's a 50-50 thing here because I think both titles shouldn't flip, and I really kind of want Kendall Gray to be the one that wins. So if that's the case, then I would have to say this one stays. But honestly, I want to be rooting for both of them to flip and just hope and pray it happens. And on the other, like the other match is just there. So, yeah, if you guys are excited about this, I'm going to put this up in S tier. If you guys are excited about the secession, tell me in the comments below, or if you guys like this episode. I think I put the episode in a solid B plus. It really could be an A minus. I know I have some stuff down in D, but like I think that I try not to like judge the entire show based off of me not personally vibing with something because I don't think Tate Wilder or Brooks Jensen like cut a bad promo in particular. That's why like I didn't put them even lower because if they cut a bad promo, I just put that down there and I would have no problem with it. But I feel like it's just the storyline that they're telling and all of that is just not it. They could have really set this up for something later and it would have worked maybe a little bit better. I really think the tag division thing would have been the way to go, but they decided not to do that. So unfortunately, it just kind of got. But I think a B plus for the episode. Another solid episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.